Hello everybody, welcome to another daily dose of gaming news and all that good stuff. And as always, I also publish on Rumble, which at the time the syncing stuff here seems a little bit finicky. Usually I was uploading manually on Rumble also, but I think it messes up with my library on YouTube also, because sometimes it just out of nowhere start publishing videos without any input of mine. But yeah, and I've on the socials if you want to follow up, and Patreon for extra support. So let's get started. We got some rumors that supposedly the 4090 Ti, it's no longer planned. I don't think I think it was planned in just in case the 7900 XTX was kind of a menace in terms of performance. So in terms of performance for the competition of the 4090. At the moment, the 4090 doesn't have any kind of competition by a long shot. The XTX is basically on par with the 4080. They trade blows with each other. I don't even think it justifies at the moment the 4080 Ti kind of refresh thing, because the 4080 is an upsell for the 4090. I don't know, maybe in 1 year, because from all the thing from AI, they just don't plan to make a refresh right now, and I think they delayed basically the 5000 series basically almost a year, from what I understood. But yeah, this comes from Copite 7 Kimi, or I think it's what they call the user here. I remember seeing this around with regarding Nvidia rumors and leaks, and usually he is on point, at least most of the times. I don't watch every single tweet that he makes, but yeah, I think it's a reliable source, at least from these outlets that I usually come with. But yeah, even though yeah, as it says, even not the 4080 Ti, it doesn't make sense in terms of business choices to invest that money, so it probably will not sell, because it overcompetes and it's removing space, for example, for the 4090. But yeah, in terms of the next gen, supposedly they will have a 512-bit memory interface. Doesn't mean a lot. Depends on the fact that the fact that people just throw around like one spec out of nowhere doesn't mean that it's going to improve the GPU lineup per se. It's like the 4060 Ti has with the 16 gigabyte RAM. It has double the VRAM, but basically performs the same with the 8 gigabyte version, because they, for example, didn't expand the memory bus. In some cases, if you play the same game with the same setting, like a higher graphic setting, you can get more stable frame rates. But in overall, the performance increases that you might see it's on in the margin of error, which is like around 1 to 3%, sometimes to 5% can be considered margin of error in this kind of testing. But yeah, supposedly it will have at least a larger bit bus, but I don't think they are going to use the GDDR7 memory, the new one that it's coming out by the end of the year. It's going to start to be manufactured. I covered this a few days ago. I think it's from Samsung, the Samsung one, and I think Micron also. They use, I think, kind of similar, little different process of manufacturing, but basically the speeds will be around that, the same ones, from what I understood. We have more data from the Samsung one, but you don't have like an exact release date, while the Micron you don't have like the exact specs, but we have like a end of the year release. But yeah, I suppose we only see this one is in the case that AMD just have a light bulb moment there and managed to overcome the situation, because I've been seeing this a lot. The 7000 series from AMD, they are not performing generation the way they announced, basically because I think they were expecting a better performance, and I think it on the background, on the testing side, the chip itself can perform basically in terms of improvement generation to generation how they announced. But I think there was like a bug or something. I don't know if it's like a driver level or if it is like a hardware stuff, but I think it's a software side thing that basically when it's pushed to a certain level, it just, I think, just black screens and a lot of stuff that it's very critical to the GPU itself. So they have to basically tinker it down a lot, and that's why you don't see like a huge leap in performance from the 6000 to the 7000s. If they manage to go around that, supposedly the 7900 XTX will be a solid middle ground between the 4080 and the 4090, and that might kind of justify maybe at least a refresh on the 4080 Ti to be competitive, to make a jump in terms of performance, because there is a huge gap between the 4090 and the 4080 in terms of performance. And of course the memory stuff there from the 4080 could be a little bit better in terms of performance. I think at least the VRAM. In terms of, I don't have the specs here. In terms of the memory bus, I think it's almost on par with the 7900 XTX, even though it's not the same, because it has less memory, and the way the memory it is 16 gigabytes, I think is as like 30% less memory bus. But I'm rating all over the place now. But yeah. No 4090 Ti, and supposedly the next gen should come like in 2 years with some extra memory bus here. The RX 7900 Golden Rabbit Edition, it's been officially launched. Basically, it's I don't know what AMD is thinking. They have all the opportunities to make excellent strides here, and especially on the marketing stuff here. They just butcher everything. They just follow the steps of NVIDIA of butchering everything, because basically the specs here, it might as well call them 7800 XT, or you can put it 7800 Golden Rabbit here, Golden Rabbit Edition. It's more suitable. They just want to think people. I think they think that people don't watch this kind of channels, especially like the bigger ones, like Hardware Unbox, Linus Tech Tips, this kind of few channels, Gamers Nexus, where they cover this kind of stuff in the hundreds or thousands of channels that cover the news. They think that the people don't watch these videos to get more information. They even compare it to in terms of uplifting performance with the 6800 XT. I don't know why don't you change the 9 to an 8? It's easier, simpler, and makes a huge marketing blow on in terms of performance here. Because it's basically a little bit cut down. It's like the hybrid stuff here, that between Navi 31 chip here and the Navi 32 die around, and of course it has two CCDs here, like two dummy ones. I'm not sure if which ones are, but it's two. It doesn't matter which ones are there. In terms of performance, it performs better than a 4070 Ti. 4070, sorry. A little bit better. 4K, we got, I don't know, this is Cyberpunk for sure. I don't know, FZ, I'm not sure if it has anything comparable here. I don't know which games here. I think this is Resident Evil 4 Remake for the 4 there. But yeah, it's a little bit to a certain degree in terms of performance with the XT version, not the XTX. So it drops a little bit here. If it is a 7800 XT or a non-XT, whatever, it makes sense. And even with the bump in performance regarding a 4070 Ti, it makes more sense to call it a 7800 in terms of marketing, just alone in marketing, not talking about the specs at the moment. And 2K, so 1440p, it's almost basically on par, except in some situations here. But yeah, you can see that, for example, I think this, I suppose, Resident Evil 4, I suppose, again, it's on par there. For, I don't know which kind of 4 game we might have here. Seems a lot of frame rates, I don't know, for the game itself. This is The Last of Us here. F1, the 40k game, 6, not sure which one, 6 version of the franchise usually goes around on this kind of benchmarks here. But yeah, it's kind of a little bit on par in 1440p, but it plays way better on the 40 on 4K, mainly because of VRAM issues, because 12 gigabytes on the 4070, and of course less memory bus. So the things that the VRAM is useful for 4K is not present basically on the 4070. But 4070 is very good GPU on 4040p, even though it only has 12 gigabytes of VRAM. But yeah, this should be the successor of the 6800 XT in terms of performance. But continuing here, supposedly only 3 board partners will manufacture this one, and also a reference model, which is the partners are Sapphire, PowerColor, and SFX. As you can see here, this one, in terms, it has like less compute units, a little bit less, of course, than stream processors. Boost clocks, not that much here. Also, I don't know if it is because of the fact that it's like an hybrid chipset with a 32 die. Of course, it has less memory. It's going to interfere a little bit with the memory bus, because how the chipsets of the chips of the memory are assembled here. The more, if it is not a clamshell manufacturing process, so the more memory you have, you have more memory bus, and of course it will interfere with the memory speed to a certain point, and of course the bandwidth, overall bandwidth of the memory here. It's not a bad performing GPU. It even has less board power, so 260 watts, so it not a crazy amount here. The only thing that they made again another freaking mistake, which is the price here. This should be a $600 flat minimum. No, maximum MSRP here, because the 4070 it's at $600 around that price. It's the MSRP. Also, I don't think I'm starting to reach the conclusion that AMD doesn't want to be competitive. I think they are satisfied with being the loser on the game, on this game of GPU stuff. And if they continue like this, Intel will caught up and just smash AMD in the face. If they continue like this with this kind of a strategy here, I don't know. It's so simple. I think I don't know, the guys, the higher ups there, or the marketing stuff here, because it's basically a marketing problem. Because the engineering is okayish, it has its issue, but in terms of marketing, they're just butchering around their launch. With the GPU stuff. I think, for example, $600 will sell like hotcakes, especially because we don't have basically a middle range. I'm not sure how the 7900 XT, it's cheaper than $900. I think it's hovering around $750, give or take. If you just put, and I don't think they have a lot of stock of the XT version. If they put this one, 7800, okay, it should be an XT, but okay, let's call it the Golden Rabbit edition for the Chinese market. It's okay, but it's a 7800. You can even call it XTX, 7800 XTX, whatever you want to call it. You don't call it 7900 GRE. You just basically trying to equate this one. I think they're just trying to upsell to the XTX. Which is not a good marketing strategy, because people will just not buy this shit because people are counting their dollars. They don't have a lot of money to this kind of expenses here, and of course I don't know, starting at, so it's going to be over around 700 for sure with the AIBs. But yeah, it says here, introduces RX 7800 XT under a different name. The same shit they did, the NVIDIA did with the what the 4080 12 gigabytes, which is a 4070 Ti, which by itself it's not a 4070 Ti, it should be called another stuff, but that's another rant for another day. Now, again, with the shitty stuff here, Nvidia, an unreleased RTX 3080 Ti with 20 gigabytes was unearthed. Okay, this is like just a thing that was produced, but then they have to cancel. It's one of those that Nvidia just screws around. Basically, it was what supposedly I think the 3080 Ti should have been, because the Ti version, I think it has like 12 gigabytes, which is not enough. It was never enough. It should be at least 16 when it launched, but 20 gigabytes, I think it's a good one. Basically, they were working on several variants of the 3080 Ti prior to the official release, and a lot of the variants have bump up memory, but later, of course, they just scrap everything. However, as you can see here, this is a Supreme one. This is not a modded one, so this is like a production MSI production stuff here. They already had like a lot of them already made, and of course they basically had to sell through back channels to basically crypto miners. So basically, if you see one of these in a while, don't buy it. It's just a curiosity item. It should be already completely spent up. In terms of things, as you can see, even the I/O port here is completely almost fried of the heat here. For sure, it works, and of course, in terms of driver, it doesn't have like the support. It works, but and can be even overclocked in certain aspects. But of course, in terms of driver support, it's not there. Of course, you will not play games for sure in a decent frame rate. I think they should have like a lot of issues, but it is one of those missed opportunities for MSI to if they launch this GPU with this kind of thing, it will blow out everything out of the water at the time. But yeah, it's one of those again. I think I know also why Intel made a refute regarding the increase the prices of the CPUs, because I think they managed at the last minute basically some profits here, so they got out of the red because they were like 2 quarters on the red, and now this is like a very technical stuff here around and what the roadmaps here, but basically my overall take, it's because they basically managed to pull I don't know if some shenanigans, accounting shenanigans, they basically they managed to make a profit for this quarter, and at the moment, that's why I think they also mentioned that at that time when they made the statement, so basically yesterday, that they are not there is no plans, or they are not going to make a price hike on their CPUs lineups. I think it's mainly because of this. They managed to get around, and the stock went up 8%, and the fact that they managed to get more sales on the PC market than they projected. That's why I think they managed to pull out that correction. Doesn't mean that memo, that email or letter was not true. I think they were prepping up to make a price hike in case this quarter was bad for them, but they basically pulls profit out of their heads. But yeah, good news for consumers, that there is no price hike, at least for this quarter. I think they will see things at least maintaining in terms of CPU. CPUs are the CPU market is very good, it's very competitive, and it's the prices are lowering little by little. I think we have a good and healthy CPU market at the moment, even though I think more competition would be good. Other manufacturers, if any of those manage to enter in the market, it's a very competitive market already. But yeah. Good news here, we got Lords of the Fallen extended gameplay presentation. The game will launch on October 13. They did an extended gameplay presentation. The only thing that I didn't like was very highly edited, but of course it was edited for the purposes of the gameplay they wanted to present. So 18 minutes to present a lot of systems and a lot of stuff that they want to show. It's understandable, even though I don't like the highly edited stuff there, especially on they did like 1 or 2 boss battles kind of a show. They just did a lot of quick editing. Doesn't mean that the game sounds bad. The game seems very, very good. I think we have a good now we have a good successor for the lack of Dark Souls games, because we have Elden Ring, which was launched. It's not Dark Souls, so it has a different atmosphere to it to a certain degree. This is more like dark fantasy stuff here, the very, very, very dark stuff here with the two world stuff there. Very fluid in terms of combat, at least it seemed from the gameplay presentation. Good graphics, I never doubted this is an Unreal Engine 5 game. Very good and fluid gameplay. The interchangeable of like magic with the weapons and range combat here. You can have like different setups there if you want. The change between the light and the dark world, because I forget the name. I think one is Axiom and the other is I don't remember what the other Umbral. I'm not sure. Yeah, we got Axiom exists and Umbral. Yeah, it's right here. I forgot to highlight it here. Yeah, the change between them and how you go about the levels and using this kind of mechanic with the lantern seems pretty interesting. How they're going about it, and the fact that you only discover certain things like a similar system to bonfires. You can only it's also like chest stuff. You can only discover them if you are on the Umbral side. Not and other stuff, of course, you can only figure out with Axiom. Even on the transversal, there are certain transversals that you can do on the. I think it's extra. I don't think it's like directly. From what I understood, it's not the main path. Doesn't mean you have to mandatory use the Umbral Lantern to gather one, because it shows different paths depending where you are in terms of transversal. Seems pretty interesting how they're going about it. The bosses seems pretty gory, but very good. The combat seems pretty satisfying. That's the problem with the level of editing they did. Doesn't give you like a great sense. It has like telegraphed what we expected from a Dark Souls-like game. It has the telegraphed moves to a certain point. It's just a matter of you trying to figure out the sequencing and what kind of signals they are giving you for the attack they are going to do. It has 2 phases bosses, like the first one, the prequel per se of the game. Seems pretty good. So far seems pretty good what I saw. My hopes are a little bit higher because the heaviness of the gameplay of the first game, it felt very heavy and not that fluid. Also seems like heavy and clunky, the gameplay of the first Lords of the Fallen. This one seems pretty more on par with Dark Souls 3 kind of fluidity of the game. Because I never played, it's not Sekiro or something like that. It doesn't have. It has parry stuff, but it's not a parry-based gameplay mechanic here. I never played Elden Ring, and then I didn't see basically any footage. So I don't have an idea if it is like kind of similar of fluidity of the game. It doesn't have mounts, of course. It has. It seems for the levels that I saw that it brings some inspiration. I saw one level seems kind of inspired in Blighttown stuff, which is like a cliffed village here, which is like a lot of verticality there. Seems pretty good, the game here. They are confident that this game is going to be good, and I think it will be at least a good game. But yeah, this is regarding news. I overextended myself a little bit here today. We got some deals now. EA supposedly has some deals from EA. I don't see a lot of stuff here except for Dead Space Remake. So this is the one that came out this year. 30% off, very good. The deluxe edition, $6 or something like that difference here. If you already have the game, you can have like the upgrade for the deluxe edition. I'm not sure what the differences are regarding. Oh, you have here, it's the suit stuff here. Yeah, okay, excellent game. From the reviews, I didn't see any footage here. I already played the original one like 3 or 4 times. I really enjoy it. The gameplay is improved. The GRE, it's also improved, of course. The graphics, I don't need to mention it, are improved. The transversal here, you have more GRE stuff, and I think you can transverse the entire of the Ishimura here without the needs of using the elevator mechanic, which is like loading screens for there. And there is like expanded story stuff here. I think it's improving all over the place regarding the original one. I think it's a well worth buy here, especially at this price point and the fact that it came out in the beginning of the year. Also, we got very strangely only Dead Space 3 from the original trilogy on a deal here, 75% off, and of course I think you have more stuff here. I'm not. Yeah, you need afterwards if you want. You need to buy all of this crap here. Jesus, that much money. Okay, it's not the best game. Basically, you need to take advantage of the access of all the game. You need to play in co-op, which is the worst kind of thing that you can do in a single player focused game, or it's more actiony instead of like horror based. But yeah, if you want to at least play the base game and see the completion of the story of the original trilogy, I think it's well worth it at this price point. The other two are not on sale. I don't understand why, but it is what it is. Also, we got The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt. Yeah, The Witcher 3, it's The Wild Hunt. I, of course, advise you to buy the complete edition. It's usually, at this price point, it doesn't get lower than this, so I think it's well worth buy here. 15 bucks here, plus the mods that you can throw around, and the next gen upgrade that they did, and the fact that it continues to have support, and of course the modding stuff. You have lots of mods for this game. It's an awesome game. It's a benchmark on RPG stuff, at least open world RPGs, and in terms of even storytelling, it's side quests. It's the things that it affects and makes sense, the side quests on the world it set up here. Also, we got here Aliens Dark Descent. This is a recent one. It's got very positive ones, which is good to see. I don't know if in terms there was like some jankiness on the yeah, they already been updating here. There was some jankiness on the textures part there, and some graphical performance situations here and there, hiccups, nothing game breaking. Which is like the thing that reviewers complained the most here, but it was basically the only one. In terms of gameplay and everything, this is a very excellent one. It's like real-time strategy. It's a twist of people that are used to play like kind of XCOM one. This is more a real-time strategy, but I like the Alien universe, and I think this is a good one to buy. It's 20% off, even though it was launched like 1 month and something and some change ago. The story, I think it's okay. It's a very decent story, and I think it's well worth it for the reviews that I saw, and the fact that people are enjoying this game. I think it's well worth buying it till the 3 of August. And yesterday on the news, I talk about the Valve and Half-Life stuff. I didn't notice that the Black Mesa game was on deal here until the end of the month, so 2 more days, 3 more days, give or take, 75% off. It's an excellent game. It's like a remaster, basically, from the previous, from the first game, and this is like an independent effort with the blessing of Valve here. And it was made, I think, Source Engine 2, so basically the same engine in second one, if not mistaken. I don't think it was made in an Unreal Engine at the time. I think it was made on the Source Engine, if not mistaken, but more refined than the second one. I think. I'm not sure. It's been a long since I talked about this game, but yeah, it's on deal, 75% off. I think it's well worth your time, and get also. So when you play this game, for sure you'll see a lot of influences that newer games, especially on first-person single-player first-person shooters, have on this day and age. And basically, I'm going to wrap up here. I think I already overextended a little bit much here for today with my GoGetFundMe for me to upgrade my PC, to get better and more content for my private clients and start doing some video stuff for them. And of course, bringing you the daily news with better quality, scripted content from some deep dives here. Also, resuming my gameplay series and possibly doing some live streams in the near future. And basically this is it, guys. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, Kunamy Master out.